Hello everybody, and thank you for joining us today. So today we are joined by Rachel Gill from Bytes Software Services, Rachel Lomas from ARC IT Training, and Keth Crotty here from ShareKnowledge to go through our Bytes Learning Services ShareKnowledge webinar.
Good morning, everyone. For attendees who may not know much about Bytes Software Services, I'll give you a brief summary. We're owned by a South African company called Altron and have two companies in the UK and Ireland, Bytes Software Services and Bytes Security Partnerships. If you'd like any information on the services offered by Bytes Security Partnerships, please let us know on our question box. We are Bytes Software Services. We are one of the largest dedicated software teams in Europe, founded in 1982, and we have about 160 staff here, over 3 offices in Leatherhead, Manchester, York and Cork. We are predominantly Microsoft's #1 reseller in the UK, and we are a leading cloud consultants. And as you can see, we have, it says, 2,000 happy customers. Here is a structure of what Bytes Software Services do. So our main key areas are our licensing, software asset management and training. With reference to the Bytes Learning Services, as we are UK's largest Microsoft licensing reseller, we understand a lot about Microsoft software, and also that helps with the training, a better understanding of training providers. We established the learning team about 15 years ago. We pride ourselves on unrivaled customer services. Being independent, we offer more choice of availability as we work with multiple suppliers. As an SA administrators, we seek to leverage your benefits as part of your training solution. We offer our customers easy access to all forms of software training, online training, e-learning, on-site and off-site training. How do we do this? As you can see, we help define, design, deliver and manage, offering all 4 areas of scoping a training solution. Some attendees today are Microsoft Software Assurance members and may receive a number of free benefits, including Microsoft Software Assurance technical training vouchers. The Enhanced Benefit Package was created by us many years ago, and Microsoft offered the technical training vouchers. We work with up to 4 CPLSs, Certified Partners of Learning, QA, Global Knowledge, New Horizons and Combined Knowledge, where we can double your days for you, the 2-for-1 offering. What I'd like to do now is hand over to my colleague Rachel Lomas, Bytes e-learning consultant.
Thank you, Rachel. So for the majority of customers on the call today, you will be Microsoft licensing customers, and that means that you will have software assurance. So this slide is really talking about the benefits that you get with your software assurance agreement. For other customers who may not be software assurance, please don't worry. Obviously, the platform that we're going to show you today is perfectly capable of hosting all types of different content, be that your in-house content that you may have produced using your own authoring tools, be that other content from other suppliers, or even off-the-shelf content that we can provide for you. So if we look at the software assurance e-learning that's available for Microsoft Software Assurance customers, and we work through the bullet points that are on this slide, you can see that if you're a global organization, you do actually have the capability from Microsoft to offer those courses in 20 or so languages. The library itself is not commercially available, so it really is only a benefit for Software Assurance Enterprise Agreement customers. If you're looking at a prospective migration project next year, you'll be thinking about maybe Windows 8 or indeed Windows 7. There is a back library available too. And what you'll be looking at is the applications that are available within that. The library that is offered to customers covers systems which would be your desktop essentials, which would be your start screen essentials, any new features and functionality of Windows 8. When it comes to the Office 13 Essentials collection, what you're actually looking at there is the core functions as well as the new features in the Microsoft Office 2013 suite. There is also an additional collection which is called Make the Switch collection, and this covers getting started with the new version and shows you how to do everyday tasks. The courses themselves aren't very long. There's lots of video in there. There's lots of opportunities for students to practice what they've been taught, and there's knowledge checks as well within the courses. So they really are an effective way to help your learners to become familiar with the most commonly used features within the Microsoft applications. So before we look at the ShareKnowledge LMS, let's talk about some of the benefits of using it. Working again from the first bullet down the slide, really and truly, the first point is very important when we're trying to drive learners and people across the organization to a central training place. Very often that's a difficult challenge, and we are usually struggling to reach out to learners to get them to use additional systems and come together. Obviously with SharePoint you don't need to worry about that. Most people are already familiar with it, most people are already using it as part of their standard intranet within the organization, and for many of you that are on the call today that will be the case with you. So there's minimal effort required for the user acceptance piece. In addition to that, one of the great benefits is that you can have a blended training catalog. You can offer content across the board in various formats. We've talked today about the software assurance e-learning, but obviously it goes way beyond that, and Keith will obviously cover some of that when he takes you through the platform. With training, obviously everything is subject to change, and it's very important to be able to track and manage schedule activities. And using Outlook makes life so much easier for the training team and for the users. One of the questions I get asked a lot with regards to learning management system is, can it actually integrate with Outlook? And the answer is, in most cases, yes, but usually it relies on an ICS file or a link that's sent within an email, and the user is subject to obviously clicking on that and posting it into their Outlook. Well, with ShareKnowledge, that's not the case. There is true integration there within the system, and all of the invites and all of the scheduled activities can be managed quite seamlessly. Clearly, being able to check or measure knowledge and knowledge transfer is very helpful, and with ShareKnowledge it can be handled with the same application, so there's no need for you to have additional tools. There's a built-in assessment. Very often with some of the platforms that we see out there in the marketplace, there's an additional license required, there's an additional application required, and then the assessment is built separately, or it's built into a piece of learning and then it's ported into the LMS. In this case, it's all there and readily available for you. And finally, when it comes to setup and implementation, because your people are already familiar and you'll have SharePoint admins across your business, it's obviously going to take less time, potentially less money to roll out the application, because that existing knowledge is already there. People know how to use it, they know how to set up team sites and so on, and they're familiar with the architecture and the technology. Okay, so I'm going to pass over to my colleague Keith, and Keith is going to show you a live demo of what the platform actually looks like and give you a tour of some of the key features.
Great, thank you very much for the introduction. This is Keith Crotty. I'm with ShareKnowledge. I'm going to run through a relatively quick overview of the system and then hand it back to the team. We can also try to answer questions that might come in. You can text them to us as I go through the system if you have any specific questions as I go through. The first thing that should be somewhat recognizable here is our system is built on Microsoft SharePoint. It gives us a lot of flexibility in customizing the solution to meet our clients' needs. Everything that I'm going to show you right now is out of the box when we install our application on a client SharePoint environment. The only thing that I've done today is I have some users in the system so that I can generate some reports and have some information, and I have some courses published to users. I'm accessing the system via browser, like you would expect, a SharePoint site or resource. And the user that I'm logged in as has several different rights to the LMS. This would be my name in the upper right-hand corner. And in the LMS, we have multiple different roles that you can grant different users. Your average user is only going to have access to their own personalized learning plan. One of the things that we like to do with our LMS deployments is automate as much of the training management and training delivery process as possible. So when a learner logs in, they're going to see their own personalized learning plan, which will be built often automatically by their title, department, divisions, regions, and other organizational units or training groups that they're part of. And that information can be read automatically from Active Directory, your HR system, or your other systems of record. In addition to my own personal learning plan, I'm logged in as someone who would be part of the LMS training team, or let's say a power user of the LMS, where I have course management, Instructor Led Training management. Our system can fully manage both online learning as well as classroom and event-based learning. I have reporting and some general LMS administration. And I'm going to try to highlight several of these views as we go through the system. I'm going to start with the view from the learner perspective, because I think if the system is easy for your users and as automated as possible, then the rest becomes very easy as well for the administrative team and power users using the system. When I log in, for right now, let's ignore these additional roles. When I log in as a user, I'll see all of the courses that I need to take in the order that they're due. This is my default view. Alternatively, I could view them by the actual assignment type. You can assign as required, recommended, or optional. We can also look at these courses by status or by category of course. Status is, have I started it? Am I enrolled into it? What do I need to do next? And then the category are custom flags or categories that allow people to very easily search and filter and find the appropriate coursework they need to when it's optional or recommended. Everything that's required for me will automatically appear in my learning plan. And you may notice we have some different colors here describing the different types of content and trainings available. These green folders are what we call compound or blended learning courses. They can be very simple or highly complex. They could be 1 or 2 items bundled together, like a reading assignment and a quiz, a video and an assessment of some kind. You can tag surveys to them. They can also be relatively complex, in which you might have 5 or 6 or 10 different steps that might take place over the course of several weeks. I'm going to open up one of these compound courses in a second. Most compound courses will be made up of these style objects. Reading assignments, which can be any standard document type you might want. It could be a PowerPoint, a PDF, a Word document, an Excel. It can be a video. And all of that in the system, you do not need to change that format. You can load it into the LMS, which is built on SharePoint, just like you can use SharePoint for any other standard kind of documents. But our system will not only put it into the appropriate people's learning plan, possibly with due dates, but it can track who opens the document. It can ask for reading confirmation on that document, so that once they've opened it, it will actually give them an agreement, like a compliance agreement. I solemnly swear I've read and understand the document, and I'll follow all the rules. So it can be used for compliance. We can even turn on a digital signature at the time of completion if that's important. And so if I were to go ahead and open this material, this might pop up in a way just like I guess any kind of standard document that you're opening. And I could go ahead and go through this, and you can see that I can then agree that I've read and understand the material after that open. As an option, if I'm a supervisor or a manager of people, any content that is optional for my team of employees, I can actually redistribute this material to my own team of employees as well. And so I can see as a supervisor everyone that I manage, and I might think it's important for Peters or Nicholas or Kirk here to take this training as well. I can enroll them into it, although right now this content is actually optional for them. And so a lot of powerful workflows for making sure people have the appropriate information available to them as required, recommended, or optional, the appropriate level of tracking, and reporting is tied to all of this as well. This will actually time and date stamp when I complete this item. And if I'm allowed, I can come back and review this item anytime I want, maybe even retake it or reopen it. I'm going to go back to my learning plan here. Is my screen size all right, or do I need to adjust that again? Is that a little better?
Yeah.
So I'm going to go back to my learning plan. That was a reading assignment, and you'll notice that as I went through that reading assignment, I opened it up, I reviewed it, I completed it, I gave an agreement to terms and conditions. Those are all options. The training team can also collect feedback on that item through a survey or right within that course. They can also turn on that digital signature or ask for an attachment anytime they need to. The nice thing about the digital agreement and digital signature is that they're automated. If you ask for specific attachments or comments, you might actually have to start reviewing what people write. And that would be a manual grading process, which our system can also manage. The system can also manage e-learning style content. E-learning content is a specific format of training materials. It's usually referred to as the acronym of SCORM. Our system is fully SCORM compliant. You can load in any off-the-shelf e-learning content in the system that is in a SCORM format or an e-learning format. The system will play that content, and when appropriate, it will automatically grade that content, meaning e-learning courses can have full quizzes, tests, and assessments built in. I do have some samples of e-learning. Here's a course on effective business communication. One of the other benefits of e-learning is that if someone starts a course, and it's a very long e-learning module, some of these could be 30 seconds long, some of them might be 30 minutes long, or even 30 hours long. You have a lot of flexibility when you purchase or build your own e-learning content. It will actually save where people left off in their course, open up that last applicable screen, and allow them to continue from where they left off. And in this instance, this is a multimedia video. We're not going to watch this, don't worry. That would take us probably 15 minutes. But it will play right through the browser. And again, if they, let's say, complete some additional screens, I'm on screen 2 of 8 here, it will save my place when I exit out, and I can come back and complete that later. And generally, the training team is going to be happy as long as I can complete that before the due date. Again, if I'm a supervisor, I can search through courses and actually deploy them to my team. And this means that the training team doesn't have to know all of the required training for everyone. There might be some training that is assigned automatically as part of an onboarding process or by title or department or division, but they can also create a catalog of optional and available training that's available to people by keyword search, by category, and allow people to self-service their own training needs. And so if someone wanted some training for first-time manager essentials, they could come in, maybe click on that category of training and see all of the available training in the LMS tied to that category. Another option might be to do a keyword search. I'm going to go back to the Learning Catalog and search for everything so you can see this better. And it'll go through the LMS and it will find any place that the term leadership is mentioned. I can look at my status. Apparently I did a bad job on this course last time I took it. Maybe I want to retake it, or maybe I want to request access to it if I don't automatically have access. And so this catalog approach works very well with the learning plan approach. All required items assigned to me will appear in my learning plan. All optional and recommended items will appear in the catalog, and if I start any of these optional items in the catalog, it will become part of my learning plan until I complete it, and it would simply show at the bottom of this screen as an optional item that I was in progress in. We're going to come back and we're going to open up a couple more of these courses, but I also want to talk about the fact that everything that I do as a learner is tracked in my transcript and my learning history. So as I complete courses, they're all saved. I don't have to search through the catalog. I can come back and retake any items that I'm allowed to by permission. I can search by date range or by keyword. I could look at all of the courses I've done from the beginning of time, or perhaps year to date this year. The system can manage and issue certificates and certifications. It can even track externally received training in the LMS as well, meaning this is managing all of the training that you're doing directly through the LMS itself. But if you have users who might go to a seminar and do off-site training, if they receive a professional certification on their own time and they want this tracked within the LMS, you can turn on an approval process that will allow them to submit that to you, the training team or the management team, for approval to go into their transcript. It can even track expiration dates and recurring trainings that need to be taken periodically, for instance, every year. I'm going to pause there just really quick and just make sure that that the rest of our webinar staff here, if there's any questions that came in that I need to address, we can do that. Otherwise, I'm going to continue to move on. Sounds like we're good. So I'm going to go back to my learning plan view. And one of the things that was mentioned here was our ability to work with an Outlook calendar. We can send email notifications for new assignments or required courses, upcoming due dates, past due notification, and we can escalate those email notifications when necessary, meaning not only can we notify the end user that they have a course that is potentially coming up due, but we can start to tattle on them to their manager or to the training team whenever that's required. One of the more enhanced feature sets that we have is in regards to Outlook integration. And if you can see my calendar here, this is my personal calendar. This is everything applicable to me as a user directly shared through Outlook. I do not have to be logged into the LMS to see this. These are all the courses that I've had due over the next basically month and when they're coming up due or when those events take place. that style of integration is very powerful. For one reason is not only do they not have to be logged into the LMS to see that information, but they can also have that calendar automatically update without having them to approve every new email notification that comes to them. In a traditional setting, if someone misses one of those event changes, now all of a sudden their personal calendar and your actual event schedule is out of sync. This allows you to update, change course dates, and their calendar will always be updated along with that. The system does also have an entire calendar view built in. They do not have to just access that calendar through Outlook. They can actually come in and view courses this way as well. So I'm going to go into a little bit more advanced options very quickly here for course types, and then we're going to move on to some course management, reporting, and administration. I just wanted to highlight the fact that these compound courses can be very simple: reading sections, tasks and activities, and e-learning all bundled together. They can also be, let's say, much more in-depth, where you can have sections and subsections and as many different components as needed built into a single course. Every one of these blue courses is one of those e-learning modules, and this is all bundled together. Each of these is an instructor-led event, and the system can fully manage time-date events, the registration for, the approval of, and even the delivery of instructor-led events if you want to use the system for that. This is the description of this instructor-led training. I can see the next available date and time. I could register into one of the next open events, and it will actually read my location, title, department, and make sure I have access to the appropriate events. So if there were events in different locations that maybe I shouldn't have access to, those wouldn't show to me, but they might show to the person in New York or in that other location. I'm going to go ahead and move on really quickly and just touch on some of the more advanced feature sets. Course management, reporting, administration is very simple. It takes place through the same interface if people have the appropriate roles. Some of the most important feature sets are tied to SharePoint flexibility. And all of the content and e-learning in our system can actually be stored in your own folders and file and library structure within SharePoint. And if you want to distribute a document to a group of people, you can very easily find the appropriate PowerPoint or e-learning content or document and simply hit Publish to Catalog. And you can then determine how it's going to go out and who it's going to go out by title or division or department. The system allows you to manage instructor-led training very easily as well. You can create a series of different training templates. Whenever you want to publish one of those templates as a new event, you can come in and look at all of the various events that you might have scheduled by date and time range. And if we wanted to maybe offer maybe another one of those Microsoft trainings, let's say Office 2013, and we wanted to do it this time in sometime in January, I can literally drag and drop that. And so if I wanted to, I could use some of the training you already have available to you as part of your licensing for Office, load it right into the system. If I wanted to, I could bundle that with a live webinar or an instructor-led training event. This system will allow me to manage both of those, where I can give this a physical location. I can open it for registration and manually or auto-approve requests to this training. Or if you have the appropriate webinar option, we can actually integrate with Microsoft Link for live webinar meetings, GoToMeeting, like we're using right now for this meeting, WebEx, or Adobe Connect. And you can actually have multiple integrations running in the background so that you can use the event, let's say webinar solution of your choice for each event. It will dynamically create the event for you within that webinar tool, and it will automatically track attendance for you so that you can start using or doing more online synchronous training instead of classroom-based training, if that would maybe save some money and some time. One of the most important questions that come up as I go through a demo and show the system, people understand that you can load content into the system, you can distribute that content to people and automate that process, you can manage and create events and give people, track attendance and give people credit for that. But everyone wants to know what the reporting looks like. And we try to make reporting very easy in our system. I'm not going to go through all of the reporting, but basically we have several different styles of reports built into the system. We have training team reports that give you very customizable views of the data. You can save views, run them later. You can even save them for yourself or save them for other people so that they can run your own custom reports. But we also have the ability to distribute reports to specific people who need it. One of the standard options for distributed reporting is based on the team concept. It will actually read your management hierarchy and allow managers to run training reports where appropriate on their actual team of employees. If I'm a manager of people and you turn on manager reporting for me, I could come in, choose how deep I want to run this report. Level 1 is my direct subordinates. Level 4 is 4 levels down for my subordinates and their subordinates and so on down the management hierarchy. I can have this entire grid view customized, but I'm just going to go ahead and pull some data into this report, and I could sort and filter on any major column header. I can also run course or class level reports wherever that's appropriate as well. So we'll just filter to a report and see if we have any data for that specific course. It will then generate the information. I picked one where I didn't have any information. Let me see if I have a different one here. Yeah, I don't have a lot of data in this demo environment. I apologize for that. But it will automatically generate a KPI, key performance indicator for that course. Show you percentages based on completion, not completion, various statuses relating to those courses. Whenever you have the view of the data that you want, you can then print or export that data as needed. And so very flexible look and feel to the reporting, and you can really create the different views that you might want. A very similar style of reporting can be allowed at any group of users that you want. And I haven't shown it, but in our system you're able to group users in any way that makes sense for your organization. Division, department, title, you name it. And you can grant specific people the ability to run reports on one or across multiple groups of people. You can then allow them to go ahead and customize the look and feel of their reports as well. The last two ways to generate reports in the system are to build custom reports right within the system with our report filter. It allows you to hand select the appropriate business units that you want to include in a report. It allows you to customize the various positions you want to run a report against, regions and categories, and then once you have the report view you want, you can save it, and you can come back and run any of your saved reports at any point, and you can distribute those reports to other users as well. And the very last way to get the information in the system is, because we're a Microsoft-based solution, we're built on Microsoft SharePoint, all of the data is saved and managed in Microsoft SQL. You can actually build your own custom reports or work with one of your technology partners to build custom reports and go directly through SQL or SSRS. So you have full access to your data. It's there for you to use or integrate any way that you want, and we make it very easy for you to get to it. With that said, I'm going to go ahead and pause my screen and just open it up or hand it back to the rest of the team.
So the first question I've got is, with regards to digital signatures, what kind of signature will be used? Will it be just a timestamp against a username?
Yeah, it is. We wrote our digital signature options in accordance with the healthcare industry, which said that it needed to be a authenticated, trackable time date attempt. And so what happens is, at the point of the digital signature, they might agree to specific terms and conditions, and it will then pop up their authentication window again, and it will force them to enter their username and password to re-authenticate at the time of that agreement to terms and conditions. So it's not like a PDF digital signature where you're, stamping kind of a fake signature on the document. It's a time and date stamp, audit tracked, auditable event, I guess, within the system.
Lovely, thank you. And another question here says, does this require on-premise SharePoint, or can it work with Office 365 in the cloud?
That is a fantastic question, and one that I probably should have covered. We can deploy in any of the types of deployment options that SharePoint offers. So on-site is very common for us. We work with a lot of large and highly secure organizations and government agencies, but we also have Office 365 solution. We have a private cloud-hosted solution, and we could deploy as a hybrid environment where we can blend the benefits of a cloud-hosted and your on-site deployment into a single environment for your client, for your users. So any of those can be supported. We also run on both SharePoint 2010 and SharePoint 2013, as well as Office 365.
Lovely, thank you very much. So that's all of the questions that have come through today. So firstly, thank you to Keith, Rachel and Rachel for presenting for us today. That is all of the questions for today. Thank you very much, Keith, Rachel and Rachel, for presenting for us, and thank you everybody for joining the webinar as well.